Welcome back to Gene and Roger Talk Movies.
We're here. I don't know why, but we're here. This is your idea.
It is my idea, and I'm sure you enjoyed the film thoroughly. We're talking Tourist Trap,
It's
1979.
The Roger's idea. It's the last time.
Well, you punished us last week with Y2K.
Okay. So we're even now.
Well, I don't know.
I threw Y2K out there, and it was a complete disaster. And now we're reviewing.
I'm certain you like Tourist Trap. Gene, what are your thoughts?
I'm sure when the guys came together to make this movie, I mean, you don't intentionally start out at the beginning to make an utterly piece of garbage. I don't think that's in anybody's mind ever. I mean, you want to produce something that's somewhat decent and cool, and if it's horror comedy, it's got to have horror, and it's got to be funny horror comedy. You know,
this was not trying to be a horror comedy.
It's certainly kind of, you just had to wonder. But anyway, some movie's certainly not funny. But then, okay, let's take out the comedy and let's look at the horror part. Is this horrific? And no, I'm not in any way. Yeah, so again, you don't start off wanting just to make a total piece of garbage. But somehow, many times in Hollywood or wherever movies are made now, you end up with that. You end up with just a terrible product. And that's exactly what this is. It's just no good. It's not entertaining on any level. It's just boring.
You need to give me better examples than what you're doing.
I hated this movie from start to finish. I guess the only good part of this movie is that it has two good parts. I love seeing Chuck Connors in there. You know, this iconic motion picture actor. A lot of
Rifleman.
movies. Yeah, from the 60s heyday when lots of Westerns were made. He was like Mr. Western. So it's good to see him. And it was kind of cool then at the beginning, there's the scene where these young people are driving the Volkswagen. They used to make this car called The Thing, which was really, really weird. I think it just lasted a few years.
If that.
So it was, it was good to see them driving that. Because I saw this with my wife, and she's like, "Oh yeah, they're driving a Thing." It's like I wanted one of those when I was 5.
And they look incredibly unsafe.
Yeah, and I'm sure they are, but probably not any more unsafe than a Volkswagen Beetle, because
Volkswagen Beetles have doors on them.
Well, this thing has doors too, but
where were they?
You can take them off. That's the idea. It's like a Jeep. You can put the windshield down, which they did. Mm-hmm. They were driving on a highway with the windshield down. But it's like a Jeep. You can put the windshield up, you can put the windshield down, you can take the doors off, put the doors completely back on. There was a retractable, well, not retractable, but there was a hood you could put on it. So, whatever. I'm digressing completely here, but I really did not like this movie. And it was a great idea. It's just like a guy who has this telekinesis powers, and he uses his powers to do all kinds of things nefarious. Like, for example, this thing we're talking about, he makes the motor fail. And so he makes the people stop by the tourist attraction. He reanimates these mannequins to make them move around. And he makes them talk. And at the beginning, there's a scene where this guy gets killed. The guy gets killed there's knives being thrown at him. He gets killed by a pipe thrown through his back. But he throws these things with his mind, which is kind of a cool idea. And the idea is there's like an old amusement park, right? And so people drive by, he disables their cars, and then he comes out as like this old wise helper, and then he just gets them. So it's kind of a cool idea, but it just fails in all levels of execution. Like, one thing it fails is that the big thing is that people have to act like people. And my wife brought this point up, is that she doesn't think that the people who made this movie really understand women, because women are not helpless little things that just fall apart at the first sign of inconvenience. They're a little more capable than that. And in this movie, they're just total imbeciles, every single one of them. So there, I could go on, but why? But Roger, I know that you really
Yeah,
like
Gene,
this movie.
I am actually surprised that you hate it as much as you
And
do.
one thing I got to go with, this is the Blu-ray. No,
Laserdisc.
Laserdisc, sorry. But on the Laserdisc, it shows Tanya Roberts, by the way, of Charlie's Angels fame. But then girls kind of scantily clad. And so we were kind of halfway expecting, or during the first 5% of the movie, that we would see, the tops are coming off and we're seeing bare breasts and we're going to see all of that. But no, we were disappointed. It's like, where's the boob shot? Where's that? It's just not happening. And but that makes a good movie, but that would fall right in line with this movie's wheelhouse. But they failed even in that respect, Roger. I'm just like...
So the one thing that always bothers you with these movies, nudity, you were saying you were disappointed that there
it
wasn't
didn't
nudity.
happen. It's like there's maybe one thing you could look forward, but no, not even that. This movie just sucks.
Okay, so...
But now, Roger, you can tell us all ways in which this movie
so
is
this
the best
movie
thing ever.
is not the best thing ever, but it is great. I am shocked that you did not like the beginning sequence where the mannequins are laughing maniacally, which is absolutely creepy. That did nothing for you?
No,
the little mannequin
seemed,
guy that comes out of the closet and he's like, oh.
it just seemed annoying and repetitive to me.
Okay,
like,
and so
why?
I also like this movie because of some of the things Gene has touched on. It's insane in the way it does things. Okay, here's this guy. He's got this evil brother, supposedly, that is doing all this
brother, and they have
stuff.
like these masks on, which kind of reminded me of Leatherface.
Exactly. It has the chainsaw template for sure.
It does.
Hey, where's our friend? Let's go to the creepy house. And we don't come back. So here's another one. Hey, where's our friend?
They trap
right.
people who are just driving by, innocent people.
Yeah.
Get them.
It's got a very Chainsaw Massacre feel to it for
does.
sure. But I like the brother. There's this evil brother, supposedly. And then the telekinesis thing is kind of like shoehorned into this movie. So not only do you have reanimated mannequin things.
Yeah, they move around pretty well, actually.
You have this dynamic of kind of a psycho dynamic, of Norman Bates and his mother kind of thing, except it's Chuck Connors and his brother.
And brother.
So the movie's just really weird with how bizarre it is, right? This tourist trap thing, of course. Oh, it used to be popular, but now the highway got moved.
Again, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but part 2.
Well, and Psycho, of course, where Norman Bates talks about how, the reason the Bates Motel is kind of...
The highway moved.
The highway moved. So similar kind of setup here. And a lot of weird things happen in this movie. One of the greatest kills in movie history happens in this movie when he is...
Where?
You did not feel any discomfort when he is covering that poor girl's face with plaster and he's explaining what's going to happen to her as he covers up her nose so she can no longer breathe. That did nothing for you?
I was lost by then. It just seems sad and pathetic, and it's just... Yeah, contrived.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Gene.
I didn't believe it. Because if that happens to you, you're in full freak out mode, and that girl was not.
Well, she was completely restrained on that table.
I didn't get the sense that she was restrained. No.
Completely restrained.
No, I didn't see it.
My God, they even showed him putting the wraps around her head and nailing it to the table so she couldn't even move her head.
Yeah. But again, you're full freak out mode, and it's just, no, I'm not buying it.
Okay, well, this movie has attained a cult status, and one of the reasons it's attained that is what I've already said, kind of this creepy atmosphere. Chuck Connors, of course, completely off the rails in this role.
Yeah, Chuck Connors, yeah.
Hey, just make me an offer and I'll do your movie because I just want to buy a new car or something like that.
Right. Cash play for him for sure.
Yeah, but
he probably made it in a weekend.
Yeah, so. But he's totally engaged, right? He's an awesome character.
He does his part well.
He does, and The atmosphere, again, like I said, is really good. It does have that Chainsaw Massacre feel. There's a lot of, we're running through the woods, and there's kind of the fog and the mist coming through the woods, which was sort of similar
Which we
to
thought
Chainsaw.
it was really silly.
You know,
I thought it was silly.
well, there is a lot of we run from one place to the other.
Yeah, and the
doing
girls,
that.
like Tanya Roberts, there's a scene where she's running, but she runs for like 30 seconds. And then she's so tired, she has to rest by the tree. Poor little thing. And then he comes up and he grabs her because she just can't run for her life. She just can't do it. Because it's so hard. It's so hard being like a size 4. It's tough.
If she's even a size 4, she's pretty small in this movie.
It's so hard being young and beautiful. You know, you just don't know the plight that these women go through.
Extremely early role for Tanya Roberts,
Yes,
of
very
course. She had
early.
only done, I think, Forced Entry before this one. And, you know, her character, Becky, is basically eye candy.
Totally.
Gets caught, runs, gets caught again, ultimately gets killed in a pretty cool scene.
Which was sad. Poor girl.
But I think as far as, so this movie's kind of like we said, Chainsaw Massacre, it's kind of tied in with movies like Wrong Turn and stuff where, yep, you just go to a place, you don't belong there, and terrible things happen to you. I just think with the insane nature of all the different things happening here with the telekinesis, the mannequins, the dual brother situation, I'm down with this movie anytime because you guys know that I kind of like these movies where just anything can kind of happen. And
because there's no plot structure which to speak of.
This is just
anything can happen.
A bunch of wacky teens show up and they run afoul of this guy and they all die. That's basically the plot line.
Yeah.
Which is the template for virtually every horror movie ever.
Exactly.
But I just...
Yeah, I wanted a final girl, and I don't think there's a final girl.
Well, there is until she's not, right?
Right.
You know,
until she's dead.
Well, she's not dead. She's completely insane at the end, driving with the rest of her mannequin buddies.
That's right. In the thing. Yeah,
Right.
That's right.
Right. But there's a lot of important people behind this movie. Of course, Charles Band, who produced Reanimator, which we talked about, or was part of Reanimator, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. This is one of his productions here. David Schmoller, of course, would go on to direct the iconic Puppet Master series, which is amazing. And one of the obvious reasons that this is being kind of sometimes compared to the look of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is Robert Burns did the set design, who of course did the set design for Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, and then you have the mask, and the mask is like it's purposely designed to resemble, human skin. So you got Leatherface.
Well, and
analogies all over the place.
Definitely. This main cover. I know those of you only listening to us can't see the cover, but very, very Leatherface reminiscent, for sure.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing about this movie, and it's illustrated on this Laserdisc as well as this DVD that I brought in, one of these things is rated PG and the other is rated R. So when it first came out, it was rated PG, which basically was kind of helpful, I think, for the overall box office to this movie. But now they've slapped an R rating on it. So the DVD or the Laserdisc, which is older, should have a PG on there, and then the DVD, which is newer, has your R rating on there. Which it should.
Very interesting.
And this movie, this movie is it's a good example though of how free PG used to be, right? It wasn't really until Jaws came around where they were like, okay, this is maybe a little bit too intense.
Yeah, because PG had to cover a lot of things, didn't it?
Right, it was either...
Because there's no PG-13.
Right, it was either you've got G, this happy little family thing where
Bambi.
nothing terrible ever happens. Well, Bambi should have been rated R. But then you had PG.
Bambi.
And then you had R, which was, really extreme.
Taxi Driver was R,
right.
Which is crazy.
Apocalypse Now, stuff like that.
Right.
And so PG was a lot freer. And if you remember, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when we talked about that episode, Tobe Hooper was shocked that his little Texas Chainsaw Massacre film didn't get a PG rating. Even though there's no way that should.
There's no way.
And this is another movie that, looking at it today, clearly it's rated R.
Clearly.
When he went, just the one scene where he is pushing plaster over the girl's face and explaining to her what's going to happen, that's an R right there. That's just an R. So it was interesting, and you'll occasionally run across movies that, yeah, they've got a PG rating for some reason, and then they're a complete bloodbath, like Blood and Lace, which is just about this guy that murders people with a hammer. It's just completely insane. Yet there's your PG rating right there. And so on some levels, kudos to older versions of us where we were more free with our ratings. It's like, yeah, of course a 12-year-old should go see this movie.
Yeah. Crazy. But I guess this movie was totally free on Prime. It was just, I didn't have to rent it. It was just click, play. Mm-hmm. So you're up late at night. You can't fall asleep. I don't know. You had a bad pizza. So yeah, watch it. It's free. Prime, it's free. You know, you might like it. You might fall on the Roger side of the table. But I kind of think you'll fall on my side of the table.
Unlikely. If you like horror movies and the history of horror films, I would be surprised if you did not like Tourist Trap. I would assume most people like myself have already seen Tourist Trap and more than likely have a physical copy of this movie somewhere in their library.
Are you saying most people have a Laserdisc or DVD?
No, I'm just saying.
Definitely disagree with that.
Oh, no, I'm just saying people who really like this movie would have a physical copy.
Oh, I think you'd have to really, as in capital R.
Well, no, horror film.
And then an exclamation
horror
point.
Horror film fans love collecting these things. You've seen my movie closet.
Yeah, Roger, but you're an outlier for sure.
1,000 movies in there or whatever.
You're that data point that's way off way over there. Oh, that's the Roger data point.
I don't know
way
about
off the line. But that's okay.
People that really like horror, they like to buy permanent copies of the
because you own it.
Right? You own it, right?
Whereas opposed if you buy a movie, you know, and it sits on your hard drive, there's the question, do you really ever own that?
Well, the fact that they can just remove it from your thing, you know.
Oh,
yeah, hey, buy this movie, and then one day we're just going to lose the rights to have it, so we're going to delete it off your thing.
Yank it,
you know.
which could happen.
And just, yeah, the whole everything over the internet is kind of sketch.
Yes. Well, definitely watch it. Give it a try. Again, it's totally free. Again, late at night.
It's also on Tubi.
Yeah. Maybe you had a bad argument with your significant other. You can't get to sleep. Yeah, watch this movie. You'll be sleeping pretty fast.
I doubt it. You'll be into it, and you'll watch it to the end, and it's well worth your time. It's got a creepy atmosphere. Gene, of course, does not like this movie, but
creepy atmosphere because the over-reliance on the fog machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotta have your fog going.
Yeah, and they're running through, and unlike the Texas Chainsaw Massacre where they're running through like briar patches and desolate terrain, here they're running through like lush, beautiful forests. And it's like, what?
Well, it used to be
on any level.
It used to be a tourist stop until the road moved. Although I did like the little swimming hole where Chuck Connors refers to it as, oh yeah, this is paradise right here, and it's just this like
fetid little thing.
I don't know who would ever swim in there, but
yeah, it's pretty funny. Well, again, watch it. I think you'll fall on my side of the table, but I don't know. Comment, maybe you'll fall on that side of the table. But Roger, we're turning a new leaf as a YouTube program. We're going to announce what we're watching next week, and so hopefully, our few viewers, maybe you could watch the same movie and then make comments, and then they could actually have maybe a little dialogue even.
Well, we could. The movie we are doing next week is actually the direct result of a comment we did get asking us to review Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, so to honor that. We'll go ahead and next week, Jeepers Creepers. So go ahead and watch that. I'm sure it's available, streaming everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I also have a physical copy.
Yeah, of course. So bring your Laserdisc.
I do not have a Laserdisc.
I'll bring your DVD copy of Jeepers Creepers, and we'll talk about that.
But, can't guarantee that every week we will know what we're doing the following week. But we're going to do the best job we can of having a plan.
Right. And if you throw a comment out there, more than likely...
everybody that's asked us to review a movie through a comment, we've done that.
Yeah. So Jeepers Creepers, watch it.
Very good. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.